morning. It is Saturday, January 20th. I'm your host, Kimberly Perot. Welcome to Wasatch Weekends. It is day 3 of the 40th annual 2024 Sundance Film Festival. And boy, does it have an incredible lineup. On today's show, I have a conversation with 2 incredible film composers of the feature films they'll be showing this weekend, plus the founder and CEO of Media.com. What is that, you might ask? You'll have to tune in to see. And if you're hosting friends and family, I'll show you how to get into the kitchen and make an easy but impressive Parmesan crusted carrots with a tzatziki dip. In the meantime, let's check out today's weather before we get started. Now, reputation is so important, and especially with the ever-increasing presence online and in social media. I've got the founder of Media.com, James Maloney, joining me here today from Sundance. James, how are you?
Very well, Kimberly. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Now, Media.com, such an interesting concept, and it's just a really great thing to see, especially with the rise of our reputations digitally and just in general. So tell me a bit, James, about Media.com and its inception.
Yeah, certainly. This was a concept that came to me 3.5 years ago following a very complicated, highly damaging situation that occurred to my investment company, which was largely Australia-based, but we had investments all over the world. We were targeted by the corporate regulator in Australia. As you can appreciate, when things hit the courtroom, they generally make their way into the media. And with reputations in this day and age, as you know, they can be damaged and ultimately broken at light speed. An article could get published in one publication, it gets syndicated across a network, and within seconds it's all spread through social media, and there are just so many opportunities for information to get distorted. So we think there's a big need for Media.com, and look forward to telling the world more about it at Sundance over the next couple of days.
Absolutely. I think Warren Buffett said it takes years to build a reputation and seconds to destroy it. So tell me a little bit more about the platform. You know, you're obviously there to partner with artists and storytellers and just people in general on how to protect the reputation and continue to build it. Can you explain about what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a profile-based network. Some people would probably compare us to a social network. Imagine the word social media. If you just cross the word social out of that phrase, it's a good way to describe us. So we're profile based for individuals and organisations all over the world. And unlike social networks, we don't allow comments on our content. And basically a user's able to not just publish posts like they would on social media, but they can also publish media releases and distribute those out almost like a press wire service. They can also undertake what we call responses. Now, as far as we can tell, this is a world first where you can take a URL of any online content, and let's say you've got an article in the Wall Street Journal that you'd like to respond to, because maybe there's a sentence in there or even a couple of sentences in there that are either misinformed or at worst disinformation, which unfortunately has become more of a popular thing in recent years. So you can actually respond to that content. And most importantly, all of these pieces of information that you publish, when they sit on your profile, it isn't just any old profile under any old name. Every profile is actually verified since inception, using the same sort of technology that the banks use so that they can know their customer. We think that's very important to really take a stand against misinformation.
It eliminates the so-called keyboard warrior that we see out there all the time. So
Certainly does. There's plenty of them.
there really are. So you've partnered with the Caspian Agency at Sundance Film Festival. You are at the Impact Lounge. Tell me a bit more about the event and your involvement at Sundance.
Certainly. I've come all the way from Australia for this, not really knowing too much what to expect, but I'm sitting here in the Caspian Lounge with people running around like ants, rapidly putting this together for the big day tomorrow when the masses come through. It really looks exceptional. I'm very excited. We've got a panel coming up on Saturday for about an hour and a half with a number of celebrities. And we've also got an event Saturday evening, I believe, between 6 and 8 o'clock with John Goslin, a Hollywood celebrity, on the decks for burgers and beats. So we've got a bit of more serious stuff with the panel, but a bit of fun even on Saturday evening.
Wonderful. Now, do you have to have tickets to attend this event, or can you just show up?
That's a good question. I'd have to ask my people that. I would imagine that it's relatively exclusive by the looks of it. So I'm sure I could get you a ticket, Kimberly, if you asked me nicely.
Well, I will definitely ask nicely. I think this is my public asking for a ticket, but this sounds like a really great event. So you'll have a panel with celebrities on it. And are these celebrities that are using the platform that are just talking about their personal experiences? Can you elaborate a little further?
Yeah, certainly. So we've got quite a number of celebrities that have registered over the last couple of months. Media.com hasn't activated any profiles publicly. We will actually be activating our first public profile next month, which we're very excited about. There'll be some press coverage on that over the next week or two at an event in Florida. I won't mention the destination, but it's certainly something to keep an eye out for. But the intention is that, whilst many people thought Media.com initially is about crisis management, and it certainly is, there's a big element that's all about just helping people tell their story. And the first Media.com profile that we'll be activating next month will in fact be of someone that has a very interesting story to tell that hasn't really been told yet. So it's not just for crisis management, but it's all about really helping people communicate things that have gone on in their life, either historically or coming up in the future too.
So you mentioned verification of profiles. Do you have to apply and then be approved? Can you talk a little bit about the process?
Yeah, exactly right. If you look at it in a banking context, going back, a couple of decades ago, maybe not even that, you used to be able to open up a bank account with the bank not even knowing really who you are. Then this terrible thing called money laundering started taking place. Unfortunately, 9/11 was the trigger then for the banks really to get a lot tighter on knowing who their customers are. If you think about the social networks, apart from the very, very small number of verified profiles, they are largely unregulated. They are unverified, and therefore you have these, some of the most valuable enterprises in the world that don't actually truly know with 100% accuracy who their users are. That's a very frightening position considering the amount of content that gets created and distributed through those networks. So we think it's absolutely critical for the future of information that profiles on networks are verified. And I'd suggest it's only a matter of time before regulators around the world, which they're already starting to do, will move towards a model where every profile on any social network or any network for that fact that's publishing content does need to be verified.
That's so important, and I love the initiative that you're taking to do that. Knowing your users and your users knowing you, I think it's a symbiotic relationship. So tell us, James, where we can go for more information, and then also give us the Sundance rundown one more time.
Yeah, certainly. So jump on media.com. You won't see too much, but you'll see a selection of people that we've got ranging from, some of the most high profile people in the public relations industry that have seen what we're doing. They've seen the platform and, agreed to put their name to it, which we're just absolutely blessed to have, right through to a variety of celebrities, CEOs, business executives. You don't have to be a person with a big profile to use media.com. On there, you can register as an individual or an organisation. We'd encourage people to do so because we'll be rolling out profiles in the next sort of 2 to 3 months or thereabouts on a first in, best dressed basis. So check it out. Also our social media, we've certainly been putting more content up there over the last couple of months. As for Sundance, I'm very much excited to walk down the main street here for the first time after this. But we've got a whole range of things coming up. Plenty more interviews. Been told we've got over 150 media outlets that we'll be engaging with over the next few days, which I don't know if there's enough hours in the days for that to take place. But I've heard there's a number of big name celebrities that are already in town. So we've got a very exciting couple of days coming up.
Excellent. Well, James, congratulations. I cannot wait to see the impact that you have on social media and media in general. And I definitely will be heading over to the website myself to see if I can get registered there. Well, we appreciate you, and best of luck this weekend at Sundance, and just have a blast.
Thanks, Kimberly. Appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. Now stay tuned. We'll be back with more right after this. I always have a blast in the kitchen with Kevin. We show you how to make a healthy and delicious tzatziki dip. Let's take a look. Welcome back. Now, we are in the kitchen, and I love being in the kitchen with Kevin. We always have so much fun.
It is so much fun.
On and off camera.
Yeah.
Well, we're making today tzatziki dip, which is quite delicious. It's a staple in my fridge.
Yeah.
And I love putting it like as a dip with vegetables or pita or any sort of meat is always
It's very
delicious.
healthy too.
It is. It really
Yeah.
is. You know, it's a great great condiment to have on hand. So very easy recipe to make. Have you ever made it before?
I've never made it. This is first time.
Okay, so
I'm excited.
The trick is there is a little bit of a trickiness with the cucumber. So the base is a Greek yogurt,
Okay.
cucumber, lemon juice, olive oil, and garlic, and a little bit of dill. And
I love all those.
all of those things,
Yeah.
right? Who doesn't
my
like
favorite.
a flavor like that? So we're going to go ahead and get started. So Kevin, I'm going to put you on cucumber duty.
Okay.
What we're basically going to do is we're going to either dice it or grate it. It's up to
Okay.
you, however you want to do it.
Gotcha.
I would recommend taking some of the skin off of the cucumber.
I'll do that.
So you can do about a half or 3/4 of a cucumber if you'd like. And then I'm going to go ahead and get started with the Greek yogurt. So we've got about, you want to do about a cup of Greek yogurt, but really it's to taste. You know, the beauty of making a sauce is just being able to taste it as you like, as your flavors are, kind of melding together.
Right.
So are you a big fan of Mediterranean food?
It's my favorite. Actually, my favorite food is Mediterranean food. I love the healthiness. I love all the herbs, and it's just an explosion of flavor.
It really is, and the best part about this dip is that it's so versatile. You can use it for anything. So I know a lot of people, you often order it, and you want about a cup here, so it doesn't really matter how much of a cup you're doing. We'll just taste it as we see fit. But yeah, so Kevin, what you're doing now is the cucumber. What is really interesting about a cucumber is that it actually holds a lot of water and moisture. So you're de-seeding it and taking out some of that moisture because we're going to be cutting it up and dicing it into our Greek yogurt base. You really
So
don't.
what would you prefer, the dicing or grating?
I do it both ways. I dice it because I like to have a little bit of chunk in my sauce, but if you
Okay.
wanted it to be a little bit more of a finely melded together sauce, I would suggest taking just your normal cheese grater and you can just, grate it all up just like you usually do.
Maybe you do a combination.
You could do a
Little
combination.
chunk,
if you
little
want to.
grate.
A little bit of everything.
Okay.
Texture is always good in all different ways. So we've got about a cup of Greek yogurt here. You can do any sort of Greek yogurt that you want. Whole milk Greek yogurt is usually best, but it really doesn't matter. And
Are you a yogurt expert?
depends on
Yogurt.
the day. I think today maybe I am. But then we're going to go ahead and actually add some lemon juice to it. Now you can do about a tablespoon, and we're going to. I love to use this fancy juicer. Do you have one?
That
of those
is,
in your
I
kitchen?
do.
It is
I do
the
have
best.
one of
Game changer. I'll
See,
tell you what.
you've got the green, and then you've got the yellow there, so you can do lemons or limes.
Lemons or limes, but
Very
nothing
versatile
else.
piece of
We
equipment.
cannot do any other
No.
type of fruit. But we're going to go ahead and squeeze this lemon juice into a bowl. You can squeeze it directly into the Greek yogurt base if you want to, but we need about a tablespoon. So I like to squeeze it in here just to kind of eye it a
Nice
little bit
job.
better.
Good squeezing.
Right? Great squeezing. You know, it took me a long time to figure out how to use this.
It's an art.
I used to
It's
do
an
it
art.
backwards, but now I put it, you know, the inside part down.
Yeah, that's the way it's supposed
Well,
to go.
I used to do it the other way.
Oh.
It took me a long time to learn that.
You're a trendsetter.
I'm a
Nobody followed that one though. Just you.
It's okay.
We've got many Kimisms happening today.
You know, when Kevin and I are in the kitchen together,
Yeah.
it just brings that side out of me. But I love what you're doing here. So you did a little bit of dicing.
Little dice.
And now you're doing a little bit of
grate.
shredding. Yep.
Yeah.
It's great. So we're going to take our measurement. You need about a tablespoon of lemon juice into this. So I'm going to go ahead and pour that in here. And you know, we're leaking a little bit. So it doesn't really matter there. So we've got about a tablespoon there. And then here's the trick. Most people don't realize this, but you put a little bit of olive oil in it too. It just kind of helps smooth it all out.
Yeah.
So we're going to open our olive
And
oil.
in Mediterranean cooking, olive oil is one of the things you've got to put in.
You have to.
It just makes the flavors spread,
It
especially
really
if you've got
does.
an herb such as dill.
Right. So we've done a tablespoon of olive oil, a tablespoon of lemon juice.
Okay.
Cucumber's looking great.
Is it ready to go? Can
You
I
know,
put the cucumber
we're-
in?
I mean, you can throw it in. Go right ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And then you got that in there. Awesome. Now the next piece, and this is another fun trick, and I'm going to let you handle this one.
Great.
We've got a garlic press here. So
Okay.
you want to take about a clove of garlic. I brought 2 just in case we want to do a little bit extra.
Okay.
But we'll do about a clove of garlic, and you can just stick it in here and press it through. It's quite delicious. And then, this is fun, you can do an optional mint. I like to wait and see how it tastes before I throw the mint in
Yeah,
there.
I'm with you on the mint. Yeah.
You know, it depends. Like sometimes mint is really good, especially if you were making this dip to go with like a lamb dish, then I think the mint would be really delicious.
Right.
But you know, if you just want it as a dip, we love to kind of keep that out. So it's really optional depending on what you feel like. So I'm gonna go ahead and add some dill, and dill is key to this dish. You can make it without the dill, but it's really not gonna be the same. So I'm gonna do about a half a teaspoon of dill. We're just gonna sprinkle that in here. And we're just sprinkling it in.
Yeah, be careful. It's coming out fast.
You know what? We're just gonna forget the spoon. I'm dumping it in.
Yeah, just give it a shake.
Just giving it
Because
a
we
little.
love dill.
We love the dill. And these are just classic staple Mediterranean flavors right here.
That looks good.
It looks great, right?
All right, you want me to just squeeze the garlic in there?
So you can just
Okay.
squeeze it in there. You know, I love a garlic press, and I always add extra garlic powder to it, even
Yep.
if it calls for fresh garlic. And we're doing
Look at that.
great work over here. So we're just gonna go ahead and stir that up, and as you can see, it looks great, it smells great.
It does smell good.
I think we are taking a
Love that
trip to the
aroma.
Mediterranean right
We
now.
are. We're on a little journey right now
We're on a journey.
before the snow comes down again.
Before the snow comes down. And you know what's great? This dip is so easy to make, and your guests will be so impressed. If you're hosting, like, you know, you probably have a lot of people coming in, especially for us here. We love visitors because of the snow and all the fun things that are happening. But also for, you know, if you're entertaining for a football game or just really anything, this is a great and easy dip to throw together. So the smells good. Oh, the smell of fresh garlic every day.
We're going to do more.
We're just gonna do a little bit more. Now this guy is a little bit tricky. It gives you like the whole garlic, but not quite. But I love it because it kind of releases the juices and the
Yeah.
aroma. Yeah. So this is it. I think you can see the consistency because of the olive oil and the lemon juice. It makes it a little bit less thick of a normal yogurt consistency.
Yeah, I like the consistency of it. It's perfect. It's got, you know, it's going to stick if you're dipping a chip.
It
If
is.
you're putting it on something else, it's going to be perfect.
It really is, and you can add if you wanted to, like make it a little bit more. I guess you could say liquid. You can throw a couple of tablespoons of milk in here, but I
Don't do that.
I typically
Don't do that.
You can, but if you need to stretch it, it's a way to do it. But yeah, I think this is it. We're done. It's
Okay,
pretty
go ahead.
easy.
You try
I'm
first.
gonna take a chip and try it, but the best part is veggies. You can serve it with pita chips, any sort of chip. You can put it on meat. It's delicious. So here we go. I'd throw a
do you
little bit
think?
of salt in now,
A little more salt? Okay.
and maybe a little bit more lemon juice.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of always to
We
taste.
can do that.
So, Kevin, I'm going to give it to you, and you decide how much you want. Looks good to me. We're just going to sprinkle that salt in there, and then just stir it on up.
Stirring.
And that is it. It is the simplest, easiest thing to make. So you need a base of cucumber, Greek yogurt, olive oil, lemon juice, dill, and then optional mint if you really want to get fancy. But
Getting fancy with
yeah,
the mint. Let's see. Let's
pretty
see if we
easy there.
want to do any mint.
What do you think?
That's really
That's
good.
great, right? Very easy
Yep.
recipe to make, and it will for sure wow your guests at home. So
And I love the health factor of it.
it is. You know, there is really nothing bad in this.
No.
You've got some protein, you've got some fresh herbs and veggies, and it's just quite delicious.
Perfect. Good job, Kim.
Well, we're excited. This is going to be a great thing to make if you're hosting for the upcoming game that's happening.
Big game.
Or any games that are coming up.
There's a lot of
or
big games.
You just want to host and be fancy. I think it's a year-round recipe. So let us know if you want it, and we'll share it with you. We'll be right back after this. Good morning. It is Saturday, January 20th. I'm your host, Kimberly Perot. Welcome to Wasatch Weekends. It is day 3 of the 40th annual 2024 Sundance Film Festival. And boy, does it have an incredible lineup. On today's show, I have a conversation with 2 incredible film composers of the feature films they'll be showing this weekend, plus the founder and CEO of Media.com. What is that, you might ask? You'll have to tune in to see. And if you're hosting friends and family, I'll show you how to get into the kitchen and make an easy but impressive Parmesan crusted carrots with a tzatziki dip. In the meantime, let's check out today's weather before we get started. Now, if you've made the dip and you need something to dip with it, we'll show you how to make an easy Parmesan crusted carrot. It is quite delicious, the sweet and salty. Let's take a look. Guess where we are? In the kitchen.
In the kitchen, once again.
In the kitchen, once again.
It's like from yesterday, kind of a replay.
You know.
Deja vu.
I know, is that happening or what?
Deja carrot and tzatziki.
It's true. We made a delicious tzatziki sauce yesterday, but this makes a great dip for what we are about to show you. And, you know, I love a good chips and dip, but I usually like the chips just to taste the dip. But this one is a great way. We're going to do carrots, which is a little bit
Very tasty.
Very
and it's going to go
tasty.
good with the tzatziki sauce.
It really is. It's a little bit more savory. So we're doing a crispy Parmesan and carrot.
Okay.
Very easy. It should take you about 5 minutes in total to make once everything has been prepped. But it's very simple. You have 5 different spices. So we've got onion powder, garlic powder. We've got some organic chili powder. We've got paprika and then Italian herb seasoning, as well as olive oil, because you always need something to coat everything in.
Yeah.
And then from there, we have some Parmesan and carrots, and that is it. It's so simple.
Well, let me start grating some Parmesan and getting the carrots prepped.
Absolutely. So you want to separate your Parmesan. If you're doing about a pound of carrots, which we're going to do a little bit less than that today just to demonstrate, but you need about a cup of Parmesan cheese. 1/4 of that will be used in our spice and olive oil mixture, and then the other 3/4 of it we'll be using to coat the bottom of our carrots. So it's going to be a fun one.
It is going to be a fun. We talked yesterday about some fun snacks and dips for the big game that may be coming up.
Yep, or entertaining.
Or entertaining, you know, having people over, because now's the time. If you live in the valley, you've got a lot of visitors this time of year.
That is the truth. You know, I have a Google Calendar that I share with my friends and family on who can come visit. But we're going to go ahead and get started. So we need about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So I'll go ahead and measure that out here. We're just pouring that in here. We do have some salt, but the salt is really just to taste, so it's up to you on your flavoring. So I've got my olive oil already mixed in here. And then each of the spices are equal parts. You want a heaping 1/4 or half a teaspoon of the spices. So we've got our half a teaspoon here. I'm gonna not pour it, but
So
we're gonna
heaping.
Heaping, you know, it does not have to be perfectly flat and perfectly flush, but you know, it's really just to kind of measure, but it's up to you on what kind of flavors you like. So we're gonna go ahead and start with our garlic powder, and I'm a big fan of garlic powder. I use it in almost everything that I make.
Fresh garlic. We had fresh garlic out yesterday.
We had fresh garlic out yesterday.
The aroma
now we're
was
going to add
amazing.
the onion powder. Parmesan looks great, Kevin.
Oh,
it looks
thank
so
you.
good. And then you're going to go ahead and get those carrots sliced. So I'm adding in the onion powder now. I'll just put these aside here. And then the chili powder, so just about the same. So garlic powder, onion powder. You can smell just the blending of the spices. And now we're adding in this chili powder. Looking great. You can just see all the spices there. Paprika is up next.
You got a party in that olive oil. Look at that.
It's a party. Lots of different colors. You've got the different shades, the red from the chili powder and more of the auburn from the paprika. I'd like to say if I had a spice that defined me, it would be paprika. Some people say ginger, but I'm not quite that redheaded. You know,
A little salty, a little salty.
Little salty. So we're going to go ahead and add in, this is my favorite part, and I think kind of a secret ingredient, Italian herb seasoning. So nice heaping teaspoon there. We've got all of the herbs mixed in.
Okay.
And then I'm going to throw in, we're going to do a little bit about 1/4 of a cup of Parmesan to mix that all in here. Whoops.
Okay.
As I'm knocking
Put that
things
anywhere.
over
Just
here.
Put that there.
We'll just,
I get it.
Yep.
I got that one.
So you just kind of sprinkle that in there if you want
Okay.
to do. Looks great to me.
How's that?
It looks perfect.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and just stir up this mix. And you can see there it's kind of adding that. And I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil into it just because I like to lightly coat mine. I don't need it to be fully coated in this.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're adding
Light
that,
coat.
lightly coating it. So there we go. So there is the coating of our
smells
carrots.
amazing, by the way.
It really does.
Yeah.
You never would have thought to mix the paprika, the onion powder, the garlic powder. So then what we're going to do is take the carrots and we're going to throw them in here and just drudge them around.
Throw them, or can I just lay them in there?
You know, you can. You want a basketball shoe?
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. So we're going to do that. And then what we're going to do here is we're actually going, or we can actually do it on our plate since we already have Parmesan on the plate.
Yeah.
But you're going to spread it out and we're going to actually just dip the bottom of these carrots in onto the plate so that they have a nice little coating
We'll do it
on
there,
the
and then
bottom.
we'll bake in this one.
And
How
then
about
we'll
that?
bake. There we go.
How's that sound? So
Sounds
we'll
good to
spread
me.
it
So
out.
you got that nice and spread out and just kind of dredge these and
Okay.
see where they go.
Oh, look at that.
You know, it's different. You would have not thought about it, but there's something about the sweetness of a baked carrot, you know, and it kind of makes it a little bit softer, and the crispiness of the Parmesan when you pull it out of the oven. So, looks pretty good to me. So what we're going to do, you're going to take the flat side down. So cut what you did, Kevin, if you want to explain how you cut these.
I cut them lengthwise.
Okay.
That's a very technical term.
Lengthwise.
Culinary. I learned that in culinary school.
You know,
So
we're professionally trained here. We really are.
So you just take the ends off.
Yeah, you just take the ends off.
And you're very careful because they are round, so you got to get that flat spot on it, and you just cut it lengthwise.
And that's it. So these are medium-sized carrots, and that's the best way to do it. You can do it either, I would say this is a great length, you know, it's a great snackable size, and looks good to me. So you just,
do you put it down?
you just put it Parmesan cheese side down.
Okay.
That is it.
Look at that.
And then you just keep on dipping, and
I'm a fast learner. I'm going places.
you really are. You know, I think you have a hidden skill.
I
and
do.
You don't tell anybody about
Don't tell
your
anybody.
kitchen expertise.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just dip it just like that. And you can get it as coated as you want to or as not. I like to lightly coat the carrots in the mixture here, and then try to get as much Parmesan on the bottom as possible, because there's a little bit of a, once they're baked, a juxtaposition of soft and sweet to the salty and crispy Parmesan on the bottom. It's quite delicious.
It smells incredible.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to try
You
this.
are an expert.
Yeah, I know. Got this. I've got
in the
it.
dredging and
I've
the
got
dipping,
this.
Kevin. I'm very impressed.
Very focused right now.
You are. And you know what? Another
Hard
fun
for me
thing.
to talk and dredge.
Well, then I'll keep talking. We'll just make it easy for you. So one of the things that I love about this recipe, now carrots to me, I think I like the, as I mentioned, the contrast of the sweetness of the carrot and the saltiness of the Parmesan, but you can do this with any other kind of vegetable that you really want to. You can do it with a zucchini if you want. It would just cook a little bit less time in the oven, but typically you want your oven to be heated to 425.
Okay.
And then once it is preheated, you pop these in the oven and they should cook for about 20 to 25 minutes, but it's really up to you on your desired crispiness and how soft you want the carrots to be.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, we've got some that have been baking.
We do.
So I'm going to pull those out.
Now we went a little bit mini on this next round, and you know I like them very crispy, so we made these a bit crispy. And you know we did make a delicious tzatziki dip yesterday. Looks
hot.
good. So you can tell they are just nice and crispy. I'm gonna go ahead and try it. Whew, toasty.
It's hot.
It is very hot.
I told you.
Here we go. Whew, a little bit too hot for my fingers, but I'm gonna try it out here, and I'm just gonna dip it into this tzatziki sauce.
How's it? Yeah,
great.
that facial expression says it all. Yummy.
Definitely one of my favorites, and especially toasty on the fingers there. But it's a great alternative to chips or any sort of French fry. You're not frying it, but it gives you the crispiness of a French fry. It's quite delicious.
That's perfect.
Yeah, great little snack, and your friends will think you're very fancy if you're making this at home. So these are crispy Parmesan carrots with a tzatziki sauce and dip. Quite delicious.
Quite delicious and healthy.
And healthy. We nailed it in the kitchen. So if you want the recipe, make sure you reach out to us on our social media, and we'd be happy to share it, but we'll be right back after this. Now we are in a full swing of Sundance Film Festival 2024, and not only does it include wonderful actors, producers, writers, and films, but it includes incredible music and composers. Joining me today is the wonderful Tim Williams to talk all things music and all things soundtrack. Tim, how are you this morning?
I'm great, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm thrilled. Sundance is such an exciting time. Now you are here in Park City. How's it going so far?
It's wonderful. It's my first time here, so I'm soaking it all in, really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's a stunning place to be, especially during this time of year. So you are a film composer. Tell me a bit about your career and all of the things that you've accomplished.
Yeah, I moved to Los Angeles in about 2000 and have had the great honor to work on films like Get Out, Pearl, Brightburn, Guardians of the Galaxy, Deadpool. So I've had a lot of fun living and working in Hollywood.
It's incredible, and just some great films behind that. And music is an immersive experience when you're watching a film. So you were in Sundance because of the film Your Monster. Tell me a bit about your involvement in the project and what we can expect.
Yeah, Your Monster is such a great film. It's written and directed by Carolyn Lindy, and this is one of her first features. And it's such a brilliant premise. It's a rom-com, and it's sort of a throwback, old school rom-com. But instead of there's obviously two guys involved, but instead of them both being human, one of them is the monster in her closet. So it's this wonderful mashup of both horror and a traditional rom-com. We worked on this for the last 6 months, and we're so excited that it's premiering here in Sundance. It stars the wonderful Melissa Barrera, Tommy Dewey, Megan Fay, Edmund Donovan, and Kayla Foster. And it's a really emotional, fun, very shamelessly romantic film.
It sounds so interesting. A monster in the closet and a human. So talk to me about the creative process. What drew you to the project, and how did you envision the sound to go with it?
Well, it's very tricky because it is a mashup, and as you know, I've done quite a lot of straight horror films in my career. So this was tricky because it was a rom-com, but there was this horror element to it as well. And after discussing with Caroline the tone of the music, what should it sound like, we agreed that we should just play it straight like a rom-com, even though there's a monster in it. And we wanted this wonderful sort of a throwback to the 60s romantic comedies, sort of Henry Mancini, or Piero Piccioni, who's kind of an Italian, all those beautiful Italian romantic comedies. And so the idea was just to make it feel very much a shamelessly romantic film, without playing too heavily into the comedy. And then the comedy just plays itself because you've got this wonderfully funny monster who's sort of a Bill Hader type character to give it some context.
I love that. So talk to me about the process. What is the team like that you worked with? How did you get started? And tell me about the end result.
Yeah, so normally when I write a film, the first thing I'll do is I'll see the rough cut of the film. And this film it just blew me away from day one. I was just like, this is such a funny, heartfelt, beautiful film. It sort of had a little bit of that Nora Ephron classic New York romantic comedy to it. And so what I do is I then write a few themes, and hopefully something resonates with the director. And then once I have the theme, we begin to kind of spot the film, go through where music should be, where there's going to be source songs. And then once everything is approved by the director, we go and get an orchestra and an amazing pianist, and record it. And the end result was just really wonderful. I can't wait for people to hear it tonight.
That's amazing.
And there's actually,
go ahead.
yeah, and actually, Melissa Barrera actually sings a couple of incredible songs. There's a duet in the middle of it, and it's a Carpenter song that I arranged for piano and strings. That is, Monster at the piano. He's also a good pianist, of course, and he's playing the piano, and they do this wonderful duet in the middle of the film. And then in the very end of the film, the whole thing takes place around this Broadway musical. So she has these absolutely incredible showstoppers written by the Lazar brothers, who are these great Broadway songwriters. And again, it just finishes the film with these two incredible songs that she sings. But it's really about her finding a voice, and her life has fallen apart. Her boyfriend dumps her. And so she's kind of very timid, and her relationship with Monster helps her learn how to kind of embrace her inner voice and her fall in love with her inner rage.
It sounds like such a great film to see. Now, where is the film showing? Can you tell us more detail?
Yeah, so it's at the Sundance Film Festival. It opens tonight at the Egyptian Theater, and then if you go to the Sundance Festival, you can see where else it's playing. It's playing in a few other theaters over the next week or so. And so, yeah, would love it if you could come out and support it. You won't be disappointed. It's a really wonderful film.
It sounds fantastic. So, Tim, one last question. What are you hoping the viewers get out of this film when they walk away?
Well, I think it's such a heartbreaking film, and there's so much empathy, and I hope that it helps people find their own voice, when they are in those situations where they feel put upon, and just finding that courage to be able to express yourself and to stand up for yourself. So it's a very empowering message.
Excellent. Well, Tim, congratulations. It sounds like a great film to watch, and just an overall all-immersive experience. So we appreciate and applaud all of the work that you're doing, and I hope that you enjoy this weekend at Sundance.
I will. Thank you so much for having me here.
Absolutely. Tim Williams joined us today to talk about Your Monster. Excellent film. Go out and see it and follow along. We'll be right back after this. It is Sundance Film Festival 2024, and it is such a wonderful experience to see all of these incredible films, hear all of the incredible soundtracks and musician compositions behind it. Joining me today is the Sundance 2024 Spotlight, Peter Rayburn. Peter, how are you this morning?
I'm really well. Thank you so much. How are you doing?
So great. I'm excited to chat with you and to be here to discuss everything that you've done. So give us a bit of history about your background as a composer in the film world.
Well, I started off, like a lot of us, just being obsessed with music, being obsessed with music's capacity to emotionally work with stories and character. And I was really lucky to learn from some amazing filmmakers early on in my career. And I first of all did a lot of work doing, producing music, and I also did a lot of finding and remixing and reworking music. So I kind of went through the University of Music through working on films like Breaking the Waves by Lars von Trier, helping him choose things and understanding the central role that music plays, what a delicate and powerful weapon it is. So that's kind of how I started off. I chose really to be driven by stories and pictures, and for music to find its role in the world. It's a privilege to be able to become a full-time composer. It's a great privilege to be able to devote myself to storytelling. So that's a little bit about my background. I've done all kinds of different things. I make records and I write songs as well. And I think hopefully I love collaborating. So when you work with directors, it's like having a band. It's like putting a band together and being part of a band. And so whether it's a musical band or whether it's a film band, that's the kind of collaboration that I thrive in.
That's such an interesting perspective. It's a visual band per se. So one of the things that I've always loved about music is just, and especially about soundtracks, is just how it draws you in and really ties you emotionally to the story. So handling the Undead, talk to me about this project and your vision for it.
Yeah, well, it's a really unusually exciting film. I don't really think it's like anything else I've worked on before or seen before. Taya's a visionary director. She is, it's her first feature, but I saw one of her short films before, and it just has a voice. She has a cinematic voice that is very, very special. And we met and decided we really wanted to work together, and to work with the first time very strong female director for me was so important, to be able to bring the fact that I have some experience to the table, but also just to go on a brand new journey with her. It's the story of loss. It's the story of grief. It's the story of love, all set within some kind of a zombie backdrop. But she's so smart about the way she handles the role that the dead play in this film. And so it's an emotional journey of grief. It's kind of like a zombie grief movie of some kind, but it's high on the art factor and low on the gore.
Interesting. That is so interesting. So
it's beautiful to look at. An amazing, strong Scandinavian Norwegian sensibility. And yeah, I'm excited for people to see it and see how you all feel.
It sounds great. Now, were you drawn to the project initially, or was it more of the relationship with the director that made you decide, hey, we're going to work together, and then this is going to be the one?
It was a bit of both. Once the introduction had been made, there's always a bit of matchmaking that goes on with new working relationships, and we right away got on well. And I connected with the story. I connected with the concept of what happens after death, and what is our relationship as the survivors. And both from my own experience, as a parent, as a son, I think it's a very rich and deep area, and where rich and deep areas have space for music in them and have space for exploration. So it was very much an exciting an exciting prospect. Bradley, my agent, he was like very keen on me to look at the script, and it's totally out there, and I love projects that try to push the boundaries and just be themselves. I think it's very exciting to see fresh cinematics opinions, really. So as soon as we met, as soon as we connected, right away there was a kind of a wavelength harmony between Taya and myself.
Excellent. Now, Peter, tell me about your creative process specifically for this film. How did you start, and tell me a bit about how the end result really came to fruition.
So the process was that we talked about some of the big feelings, some of the big ideas that she was interested in, especially in terms of protagonist and her loss of her son, and experience of then meeting him again, how extraordinary a thought that is. And I kind of delved into the emotional abyss that could mean. And what I discovered is really grief is love. And love, that is really wherever we are feeling, it's all rooted in love in this case. So I talked to her about going down that route rather than purely the darkness and the despair, and find a place where those two meet. And so I got sketching. I get my instruments out, and my and I go into a kind of sketching trance, and that's what happened on this. And I started sending sketches through to her, and she connected with them very quickly, and we just collaborated, and a lot of that music is in the film in its finished form, and that forms part of the tapestry of this score. And then, of course, once she shot what she shot and edited it all together, then there was a lot of further discussions about how to weave quite a complex story into something that feels simple. So that's a little clue as to the collaboration.
It sounds incredible. Now, what is your hope for viewers as they walk away from this film? What is the message that you hope that they've picked up?
I mean, I think that's a director's question, not the composer's question. My hope, if I was to give a hope, it's that people feel the journey, and maybe it taps into some of people's own experiences, past, present, or future, about how we cope and how we process difficult stuff. But I do think that the processing of difficult feelings brings us right back to the present and the celebration of the now, and realizing that that's all we have anyway. So I think people can experience that film in the present as it moves through its time. I think there's a lot of craft in there, some beautiful musicians that I was lucky enough to work with. So I hope it is a kind of multi-sensory experience for people, and probably some people will feel like this is an unusual piece, and that, I think, is a strength.
I would agree. I think hope is definitely tied together with the musical sound to it. That is the final piece in really being immersed into a viewing experience. Now, Peter,
Yes.
Where can we see the film? Tell us all of the details.
You're asking the wrong person, because I just got emails in here and I haven't got them in front of me. So I know there's a screening on Saturday morning and on Sunday morning.
That's all that we
I'm
need.
really sorry. If you give me a moment, I can find that information, but I don't have it offhand.
No problem.
I think it's late morning in the 11s in Park City on Saturday and Sunday, 11:45, I think.
Wonderful.
Or 11 on Sunday, 11:45 on Saturday.
Oh, Peter, we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I'll see you in Sundance tomorrow.
See you here in Sundance. Now we can head over to the Sundance 2024 website to see all of the viewings and screenings that are happening. We'll be right back after this. morning. It is Saturday, January 20th. I'm your host, Kimberly Perot. Welcome to Wasatch Weekends. It is day 3 of the 40th annual 2024 Sundance Film Festival. And boy, does it have an incredible lineup. On today's show, I have a conversation with 2 incredible film composers of the feature films they'll be showing this weekend, plus the founder and CEO of Media.com. What is that, you might ask? You'll have to tune in to see. And if you're hosting friends and family, I'll show you how to get into the kitchen and make an easy but impressive Parmesan crusted carrots with a tzatziki dip. In the meantime, let's check out today's weather before we get started.